Well, hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. So this video is going to be a little bit different. This is a processing video. The thumbnail will say that from the outset. The video is not misleading in any way. It's a very basic video that I'm producing, and the reason I'm producing this is because it's my idea of providing extra content for the channel with very little effort involved on my part. My videos generally go out once a fortnight, and for the most part they are in the field type videos. But when I'm creating the videos for the channel, I go through a process using DaVinci Resolve where I'm recording, where I'm making the content, and I start going through the timeline. I get to a point where I need to put a photograph in that I've taken as part of the in the field work. And at that point I edit the photograph, I get into Lightroom and Photoshop, do what I need to, and then put it directly into the timeline. Then I carry on with the timeline, I get to the next shot and I do the same again. So I just thought, why not record the process of me editing the shot, and then I can upload it to the channel, and if people want to watch it they can do. If they don't have to. And like I said, the thumbnail will be very clear that that's what this video is about. And just to separate this content from my usual in the field content, the processing videos will go out on a weekday. I haven't decided yet on the actual day because I haven't decided on a title for these types of videos, but I want the titles to be the same for every one that I put out, just to make it clear that that's what the content is. It's basically a processing video of the images that I've taken that you will have seen probably the week before in the video. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna dive straight in now and get on with this first image. Stop waffling, and we'll set the ball rolling. So without further ado, let's get into Lightroom. Right, so we're in the develop module, and this is the image that we're going to work on. So this, I'm pretty sure, is a larch cone, and it's surrounded by these mass of needles that have sort of built up around it after it's fallen. Now what really struck me about this particular scene is that what you get in here is you're getting the underside of the needles and the upper side of the needles. Now the underside have got this lovely blue iridescent sheen to them, and it's that drew me to it in the first instance. If I just move through the sequence, you'll see from right to left there, you can see that there's focus breathing. You can see the cone actually moves further away and closer to you, so that's a focus stack, and that's why it's doing that. This is what we call focus breathing. Now that third one is slightly darker than the first, so what I'm going to do is that both the second one and the third one just need brightening up ever so slightly to bring them into line with one another. So they're all about right there now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them together, and we've got auto sync switched on here, so whatever I do to the one that we're viewing will occur to them all. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on my computer the Alt key down, and I'm just going to lift the blacks just so we get rid of that. You can see all this yellow in here. Just want to lift that so all that disappears, and then hold the Alt key down again and bring that down so all those blue bits disappear. So we've set the whites and the blacks for all three images there. So the first thing I'm going to do, the first thing I normally do, always do, is I adjust the exposure. And this, you can just see here that the whites are starting to burn out a little bit, so I just bring them back down just where they need to be. Just flattened it off quite a lot. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop the highlights instead, just a little bit, bring the whites down a little bit more, drop that exposure down, and lift the shadows a little bit. Now I'm going to go into tone curve and just put a little less curve in by lowering the darks and up in the lights, sorry, back into basic. I'm just going to lift the whole thing. There is just a touch there where you can see there's just a little bit of burning out, but I'm going to be happy with that at the end, because I'm going to put a slight vignette around this which will darken that down, in which case I can actually afford to go a little bit brighter. So with all my images, when I come to edit them in Lightroom and Photoshop, I look at them first and I decide what do I need, and whether what I'm seeing on screen as the raw file was representative of what I saw in the field. And this pretty much is, but I think it just does need a bit of punch. The colours are quite lacklustre, like you can expect to get from a raw file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the colour mixer, and I'm going to go to the luminance first of the blues and just have a see if I can bring that down a bit. You can just see if I go to the extreme there, it really brings those blues down. So I'm just going to bring them down a bit so they're not quite as in your face. This is just a trial first, just to see how it goes, and then I'm going to go to the saturation and just increase the saturation of those blues ever so slightly. Similar for the greens, I'm just going to bring those up just ever so slightly, increase the saturation. And then we've got the oranges. We've got a nice colour contrast here between the orange of the cone and the greens and blues of the needles. Really nice colour contrast, especially with blues and reds. You get this lovely colours working together. So if I just lift the oranges, lift the reds ever so slightly, and I think we're getting there now. That's certainly better than it was when we started. One of the things I like to play around with sometimes is the calibration tool, and this is very much let's say very much trial and error, and it is just a case of dragging the sliders and just seeing what they do to see if I like the effect. It's no exact science. Probably adding a bit too much red and green in there. I can just try the saturation. Actually lift the saturation of the red channel. That really looks quite nice. Again, just have a play with these. Yeah, I'm not liking what that's doing. And just pull that back ever so slightly on the green. -5. Let's have a look what the blue does. That really emphasises those blue needles, doesn't it? But yeah, probably not a fan of what that's doing. We can just lift that saturation ever so slightly. Now if you look, we've got a bit of a green tinge that I'm not happy with there. So I'm going to go back to the colour mixer and just take some of that green out a little bit, because it's taking too much away from the blues in my opinion. I'm going to go to the basic panel and just shift the tint ever so slightly to there, +31, and just have a play with the temperature. Just take the temperature down ever so slightly, so those blues are really starting to pop now. Back to the colour mixer, sorry, and just lift the oranges and reds, and I might just shift the hue of them just to see how they look. I think that's about it. I think that's quite nice. So we haven't done a lot of changes to the image at all as yet. What I've not done is I've not lens correction. I haven't ticked those, which I generally always do. So that's that done. And I'm happy with what we've got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a quick radial gradient on over the cone. I'm going to angle it just like I would normally. Click the invert button. Just darken those outer edges down ever so slightly. Turn that off. Just go back to the basic panel and just lift the exposure ever so slightly again. And I think with there, I'm not 100% happy yet with the colour of that cone. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm just going to go back into colour mixer. I'm just going to get a little spot tool, and I'm just going to just going to adjust that so it becomes a little bit more. The hue's altered ever so slightly. Go to the saturation, click it again. Just take a little bit of the saturation out. And there we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop that into Photoshop, open it as layers, and then we're going to go through the process of stacking the image together and then doing the final crop. So that's all 3 images now in Photoshop, so all we need to do now is to go to the Edit tool, Auto Align Layers, click OK, let it do that. And now that's done, we go back to the Edit tool, Auto Blend Layers, and let it do that. Now sometimes I make copies of all 3 layers just to double check that the blend has been done correctly, but there is so much detail and information on this image that I have no doubt for a minute that Photoshop will be able to pick out all those edges and do a good job. So that is the final product. I'm just now going to go to Layer and flatten the image, and I do feel that the cone is just a little bit lost, but we've also got that focus breathing to deal with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep all the proportions constrained to what they were originally, and I'm just going to recrop this just to make that cone a little bit more prominent. I'm going to offset it ever so slightly. We've just taken enough off there to deal with the focus breathing. Double click that, and there we have the final frame. So I'll put that on now. Well, I hope you found that video useful. Just to quickly say a couple of things about the shot, you will notice that if I just zoom in 100%, there is some fine moss detail that are poking through. Sometimes I will remove these, you just see there's one there. Sometimes I will remove these, I'll edit them out. But on this occasion, I didn't feel that they were causing any problems at all. They weren't distractions, they weren't highlights or anything like that, so I've left them as it were. I would always prefer to leave the shots exactly as I find them as much as possible. So I hope you found this video useful, and I'm going to leave it there and say I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.